I knew something was going on, and I didn't react. And that's on me. But I'll have to carry that with me for the rest of my life.
Tonight, a grieving father talks publicly for the first time about his daughter's murder.
Investigators are trying to identify the victims in a shooting that killed 3 people in Lenexa yesterday.
Sarah Beck was one of the victims in a double murder-suicide earlier this year. Police believe her ex-boyfriend tracked her with a GPS device before she was shot and killed. Now Sarah's father is calling for changes so this doesn't happen to anyone else.
KSHB 41i team reporter Cameron Taylor discovered more than 20 other states have laws on the books about these GPS devices, but Missouri and Kansas are not on that list.
Now, at least one state lawmaker looking at what can be done to change that.
Imagine someone knowing your every move, where you live, where you work, and who you visit.
We all lost here. We really did.
Desmond Teal says he knew his daughter, Sarah Beck, was being tracked by her ex-boyfriend, but he didn't know how.
He would show up in places that only her and her friend would know that they were going, and he would just show up.
Teal says they had been broken up for about 7 months, and it's his belief his daughter was tracked for most, if not that entire time.
We all knew that something was awry.
Teal tells the KSHB 41i team the ex-boyfriend never showed signs of violence. When the two broke up, Sarah moved out, got a new job, and was back in college. She also had more time to focus on her passion, riding horses.
I used to tell her all the time, ride like the wind, and don't look back.
Investigators are trying to identify the victims in a shooting that killed 3 people in Lenexa yesterday.
3 months ago, Lenexa police responded to a home on Laurelwood Street. 3 people died in what investigators call a double homicide-suicide. Police identified the victims as Sarah Beck and Mikey Williamson, an acquaintance of Sarah's. They say Sarah's ex-boyfriend pulled the trigger before taking his own life.
I just think it was more than he could handle to see her thrive without him.
Her ex-boyfriend, we believe, was tracking her with GPS devices, tracked her to a location here in Lenexa where he murdered her.
Officer Danny Chavez is Lenexa PD's spokesperson. He says the department believes the ex-boyfriend put this tracker on Sarah's car. The device tracks in real time on a map, but police say the ex-boyfriend also set up a geofence that would automatically notify him when Sarah showed up at work, at her friend's house, or even at her home.
The police have to have a warrant in order to do that to somebody. Now, we got the general public just doing it.
While the case is now closed, it's not the first one Lenexa police have investigated involving stalking with a location tracker. Since 2018, they've had 4 others, but none ended in death until now.
Whether they ended in violence or not, they're pretty terrifying for all the victims involved.
Did you ever imagine it would come down to this?
No, not in a million years. I had asked Sarah repeatedly, are you scared? Are you scared for your safety or anything like that?
The National Conference of State Legislatures says at least 23 states and the District of Columbia have addressed privacy concerns when it comes to someone tracking another person without them knowing. In 9 of those states, it's against the law to put a tracker on a car if the owner doesn't give consent. In 8 states and in D.C., tracking someone without their knowledge is included in stalking laws. Some exceptions include law enforcement, and they have to get a warrant first. It turns out Kansas and Missouri don't have any similar statutes on the books.
Until somebody with a lot of power, a lot of money's children happens to, this thing's gonna go on. You know, I'm just a regular old Joe.
This should have never happened in the first place, and I don't know how somebody in a position of power could just move on after hearing more details about this.
The 41i team contacted State Representative Joella Hoy because her district includes Lenexa. Now she's looking into what can be done.
It is very concerning to hear how that technology can make stalking more serious. And it does put into my mind that we need an enhancement of the severity of stalking as a crime if something like this is used.
To put it simply, would you support legislation on this?
Yes, I think we can look at the definitions and of stalking and the technology, and I think there's something there.
Teal hopes lawmakers will follow through. By sharing his daughter's story, he believes it will serve as a warning.
If this is going on, you got to do something. Don't wait.
As he now lives with the pain, he hopes other parents will never know.
It just went from 0 to 100 like that, and it was over. And that's with the rest of my life, I have to live with the fact that I didn't do enough. I didn't do enough to protect her.
For the KSHB 41i team, I'm Cameron Taylor.